Hey, it's Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about The Lamb by Lucy Rose, and we're also going to talk about June's book club pick. I have a book club over on the Fable app, the TBR and DNF book club, if you'd like to check it out. I always leave the link down below in my link tree. I have my eBay store linked, my Instagram, my book club, lots of stuff linked down below. My reselling favorites in my Amazon. So before I get to the book review, let's quickly talk about book club, just so we can get that out of the way. Kind of switching gears a little bit. So June's book club pick is going to be The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I have actually never read The Great Gatsby. It was one of those books that I never had to read in school. And so I thought, why not read it for book club? Now, my book club typically reads horror, but we read everything. We've read Emily Henry this year. We have read classic before. I believe we read I think Lord of the Flies was for our book club. Now I can't remember. I don't know. But we read a little bit of everything. It is mostly horror, thriller, but we read a little of everything. And I thought for June, this would be good. I think this takes place in the summertime, right? I actually don't know. But anyway, F. Scott Fitzgerald was born in St. Paul, Minnesota. I think I knew that. Anyway, I just thought this would be kind of a fun, mix it up a little bit. And it's a short book. I think it's under 200 pages. Is that considered a novella even? And I don't know about y'all, but I could use a little bit of a break because this month is crazy with books. I have 4 books staring at me right now that I need to get through from the library. I have another one that's going to be coming in it's probably coming in today actually. And then I have 2 or 3 arcs that I have to read. Oh my gosh. And then I'm getting one delivered today. I'm getting Taylor Jenkins Reid's new book, Atmosphere, delivered today. I'm so excited. I wish that would have came in time for this video. Shoot. But anyway, so yeah, it's going to be a busy book month. So I needed something a little bit easier to get through. Listen, I don't think I'm going to love this just because I'm not a classics girly, okay? I'm getting my YouTube video that I just uploaded is getting copyright issues because of the music in the background. So anyway, which I knew it would. I even commented during it that Beyonce was going to get me blocked, and she did. Clocked it. But anyway, I have a hard time with classics in general. I just have a hard time connecting with them, with the language and the way that they write, because it's very old-timey. They wrote different. They talked differently back then and wrote differently. So I have a hard time connecting with it, but I'm just excited to learn the story of The Great Gatsby. And I also got I hauled it. I don't remember which video it was in, but I hauled a retelling of The Great Gatsby a few videos ago, and I would love to read that after this and kind of compare the two. So yeah, I'm really excited to read this. Even if I don't love it, I'm still excited to read it. I do feel like this is kind of a classic that everyone should maybe not read. I think that that's silly to be everyone should at least read this classic once. I don't think you should tell people what they should and shouldn't read, but I don't know. I'm excited to read this one. So if you would like to read along, you can do so on the Fable app. I will link it down below. It's in the link tree. And yeah, if you've read it, did you enjoy it? I hear definitely mixed reviews about it for sure. I do think I own a couple of his other books, but I'm excited to read about Jay and Daisy, right? That's their name. But now that I've yapped for 4 minutes, let's get on to the reason you're here, The Lamb by Lucy Rose, which I don't have it because I already brought it back to the library. I did get it from the library. Utilize your libraries, especially right now in this day and age when they're trying to take away funding from our wonderful libraries. Now is the time to utilize them. But anyway, okay, The Lamb. This is not going to be for everyone because it does involve cannibalism. Apparently I really enjoy reading about cannibalism because I've read a lot of cannibal books. But here's what I will say about this. It's funny because I was looking at the reviews before I read it, And a book talker that I watch, Kayla from Books and Lala, her review was on there, and it said something to the effect of, perhaps I just can't read books about cannibals, or something to the effect of that. And I'm like, after I read it, I was like, dang it, that's really too bad that she wasn't able to read it, because this book is so up her alley. And it's too bad that it just happened to be about cannibals, because it was so up her alley. This book was so beautiful, and I have said it in so many videos, but horror can sometimes get such a bad rap for just being about blood and guts and just like bad language and brutal scenes. And yeah, it is a lot about that, but I think this book in particular is such a good example of how horror can also be so beautiful and almost like poetic and like melodic in its writing. And a book about like, who knew a book about cannibalism could be so gorgeously written and so beautiful? So it's a bummer that people can't like get over that, which I understand. Like, I get why people cannot read about cannibalism. Trust me, like, I understand that. But you're also missing out on so much beauty and like such a beautiful, heartbreaking story. So I will give you a general synopsis of the book, and then I am going to go into spoilers in this book, because I do think there's a lot of people that won't read this because of the subject matter. So I'll let you know when I get into spoilers if you do want to click out. So this is about mother and daughter, and I will just call them little one, which is a daughter. We do get their names eventually, but for the most part, it's just called the mother and little one. And they live pretty deep in the like woods, forest, and from sentence 1, we find out that they are cannibals. They're talking about severed fingers in the drain pipe, in the drain of the bathtub, and basically they're like living off the land. Like, they're very resourceful, I'll give them that. And yeah, they just have this like, it's very like cozy. It's a very cozy horror. They have this very secluded life. The little one does go to school. She is in school. They have this very cozy life, being very secluded, but they take in these, they call them strays. So hikers or people that have found themselves stranded, their car breaks down, and they happen to come upon their house in the woods as like this, they think it's like this safe haven, like, oh, I found some place where I can get help for my car, or I can like sit down and get a hot meal to get back on my feet, while I'm hiking. Well, little do they know that they're about to become their next meal. And that's basically what they do. They take in these strays and eat them. And it's so much more than that, though. Obviously, it's about this mother and daughter relationship and kind of what the relationship turns into, them being so secluded, and this mother, how do I want to say this? This mother losing herself and trying to find herself in more ways than just being a mother, in terms of, I don't know how much I want to say there, but it's so much more than them just like, and when I say like they're taking in these travelers and then killing them, it's not like they're taking them in and like hacking them in the back with an axe and like chopping, like, it really is written in such a like poetic way. The chapters are very short. Some chapters are only like 2 pages long. They're very like poetic and like melodical and beautifully written. and they take these strays in and they give them, I believe it's hemlock. So I'm not sure, it like disorients them and makes them like sleepy and sick, or like stops their heart. It does something to them. And then that's when they essentially kill them. And then they do start dismembering them, and which I know sounds absolutely disgusting, and it is, of course. Like, you do have to remember that these are humans that they're doing this to, but the way that it's written, it does kind of almost make you forget that, and it almost makes you think that they are just like slaughtering like an animal almost, and like trying to like live off the land and just fend for themselves and do what they can. You almost forget that they're eating people. Like, I don't know. It's like you almost justify it that they're just like, well, that's just the way that they are. That's just like what they've come accustomed to. You know what I mean? And they make these like elaborate meals with them. But as time goes on, the mother especially becomes so like insatiable. Like she starts to like, she can't get enough of these people, of the taste of human flesh, and she starts to get really greedy with the amount of people that they're taking in. And of course they have to be really careful with it, because more and more people go missing in that one area. It starts to become pretty suspicious. And then one day a woman stops by their house, and the mother doesn't call her a stray. I can't remember what she calls her, if she calls her something in particular or just asks her name. And y'all, I can't even think of her name right now. But they both, the little one and the mother, both realize that something is different about her, and they don't kill her. They realize that something is different, and like when that chapter ends, they're like, everything changed at that moment. And you as the reader are like, okay, what's gonna change? Because I was kind of thinking like, okay, is this person gonna do something to the mother and daughter? Like, is she up to no good? Is she scheming? Is she going to find out what they're doing? It was really interesting because you just had no idea what was going to change. And so that's not giving anything away. That's all in the synopsis of the book. So that was spoiler free. So if that sounds interesting to you, I totally understand if you can't do the cannibal thing. I won't say, this is probably the least like, I want to say least disgusting. I think it's the least disgusting cannibal book. I will say it kind of goes into detail about their meals when they are eating. It really reminded me of A Certain Hunger, because she goes into great detail about the food that she's eating, because she makes it all sound so like decadent, and she's a food critic. So it does go into detail about the foods that they're eating, or how they're going to what they're going to make the people into, the dishes. And it also really reminded me of Follow Me to Ground. Is that what it's called? I'll put the pictures of those books here. The writing, it reminded me of, when I started reading it, I was like, what is this reminding me of? And it reminded me of Follow Me to Ground a lot. But I enjoyed this one way more than Follow Me to Ground. But something about it really reminded me of that book as well. The main character, the little one, and the main character in that one, I feel like there were similarities to those as well. But I just feel like, even though they did go in depth sometimes as to like the killings, and again, it just wasn't like brutal and grotesque. It was a very soft, like poetic book. Even though it went there, and there was definitely heartbreaking and hard things to read, there was still like a softness about it. So I don't know. I'm not saying that you should give this a try if you know, cannibalism books aren't usually for you. I don't want to tell you what you should and shouldn't read, or you know, but I will definitely say that there's such a softness to this book, and it was just really beautifully written. So I'm gonna get into spoilers now, because I just need to talk about this ending and more about this book, because it was just like broke my little heart. So getting into spoilers now. Spoilers. Okay, so this woman shows up at their door, and you can just tell that something's different, and you can tell right away, like right when you know that this is someone different, you can tell that Mama is smitten with this woman, okay? Smitten. We're going full on, she's in love. And again, I wasn't sure if it was going to go that way. And I still wasn't sure if maybe, because she kind of kept bringing up the strays, and how later she brought up, like, I read about the strays that had been here before, and she kept bringing up two in particular, two women that went missing. And I'm like, I wonder if one of them was like her sister and she's here for revenge or something like that. And I'm like, that would be cool, but it didn't really make sense for the book either. This wasn't really like a revenge type, you know what I mean? It wasn't like a thriller like that. So, I don't know. The more you read, the more you realize, like, oh my gosh, is she really just here because she figured out what they were doing and she wanted to be part of like that lifestyle? Like, she realized what they were doing with the bodies? Like, whoa, okay. So the more that you read, the more you see Mama, like the mom, coming to life. This has invigorated her, and she's kind of a new person, but the little one is getting left behind. She's not the main person in Mama's life anymore. She's getting forgotten about, and it's like Mama has a new person in her life, and that she's smitten with, and she doesn't really care about her child anymore. This is very much, the mom is very much a narcissist, like, oh, textbook narcissist mother. Very, very much. And she even makes comments about like how she wishes that she was never born, and how she wishes she wasn't a mother, and how wishes she wasn't there. And there's other things that happen that I'm not gonna speak about, that I will leave spoiler free for you guys, that are a big part of this book. But I want you guys to read about those yourself. They're really big parts of the book, but I want you guys to figure them out yourselves, because yeah, I don't want to give you everything, but I am going to give the biggest spoiler away at the end. So I'm telling you, if you don't want spoilers, click away now, because I'm not giving you everything, but I'm giving a huge spoiler at the end, okay? So there's a lot of things that happen during this time. Again, this is a very quiet horror. Yes, there's, you know, disgusting things that do happen, but it is very quiet. But during this time, you just see this relationship unfold between this woman and the mom, and it's not looking good for little one. She's getting neglected, and the people around her, like at school, the bus driver, who's a very important part of the story, is noticing that things are happening. Yeah. And like I said, there's things that happened that I'm not going to give away, but a few big parts of the story. And so little one realizes that she either wants to get away or realizes that she's not going to get away, that she might not make it out alive, if you know what I mean. And so she kind of starts sabotaging the one, I cannot remember her name, the woman and her mother, because they keep the bones and the things of the people that they've killed and eaten, like out in this area, buried and stuff. And she unearths everything and scatters them all over for others to find, so that when she's gone or dead or whatever, people will find it and can trace it back to them. Well, that kind of backfires on her. I won't say everything that happens, but it backfires. And the mother and this woman start talking. It was the woman's idea, not the mother, but it was the woman's idea that the best thing that they could do for the girl, for little one, would be to consume her so that they could have her forever inside of them. And I think you know what that means. So major spoilers, you guys. So they start that process basically of like chaining her up. So there's so many triggers in this book, you guys. Like child neglect, obviously. Like we're eating people too. So, but yeah, it really does go there. This is beyond child neglect, but you know what I mean. Yeah, it's a whole process and it's very upsetting. I didn't cry. Again, I think because of how it was written, the little one was so strong and so, like she had just done everything that she could for others, you know, because at this point, she wanted to give up cannibalism. She just wanted to live like a normal life with her friend. Ugh. And she started to realize that how they were living and what they were doing like wasn't okay, and she just wanted to be like a normal kid. And I just think that she had kind of done what she wanted, like what she had to do, and she was just like so strong, and I feel like she had done what she had to do for others. And I don't know, just the things that she was doing at the end, she was licking like the mold off the walls so that her insides so that she would taste disgusting to them, and that like her insides would just be foul inside of them. And I don't know, just again, the writing was so beautiful, and I hated the ending, but I loved the ending of the things that she was doing. She was also ingesting that, I think it's called hemlock, little bits at a time, so that when her time came, she was really out of it. And something else I think she was taking, she wasn't eating so that there was very little of her for them to consume. She just wanted it to be like a horrible experience for them. So, and then more spoiler. I mean, these are all spoilers, but she put hemlock or something in, because a stray came the night before they were going to take care of her. A stray came and they consumed the stray, and in the leftovers of the stray, the little one put in hemlock or some sort of poisoning, because she knew that they would use that gravy to make, when they consumed her, they would use that for her. So they did eventually dismember her body. She did die. And they did consume her. And when they're doing all of this, it was from the perspective of her, of little one, like her ghost, like having an out of body experience. And then you got to see the woman and the mother. You got to hear about them eating the little one, but little one poisoned their food. So right after, spoilers, they both died, as they should. And then the little one kind of haunts the place. She's kind of stuck there, her soul. And then many months, I don't know, lots of time have passed, and the bus driver, bless his little heart, comes and knocks on the door. Because it's summer. Long story short, the girl gets in trouble at school and is like suspended for a few days, and then she does all of this, digs up the bones, blah blah blah. So then they tell the school that she's sick, but actually they're like chaining her up and holding her hostage. I was saying, and then it's summer break, so she doesn't go back to school, and it's not suspicious to anyone because it's summer break. So the bus driver comes and finds the house in shambles. He finds the two women at the table dead, and he finds the room where they do all of their dismembering and killing and everything. So yeah. That's how it ends, with her ghost haunting, and which is so heartbreaking. The ending was so heartbreaking, but again, it was so beautifully written. She had everything prepared. Like, I think she was only 11, but she was so, like, she's such an old soul. Like, I kind of hate that saying, but you know what I mean? She was such an old soul. But also just a little kid. She was just a kid. Oh, it was such a beautiful book. So again, I understand if you just cannot do the cannibal thing, like, but this was a very beautifully written book. It was very poetic. It was not like, it was descriptive, of course. It's descriptive. They're talking about making stews and like pies with body parts, but not, I don't know, it just wasn't very gory. The story is just so beautiful, and the relationships between the mom and the daughter, and then this woman coming in, it's just such a unique story. The narcissism and and there's so many other relationships that I didn't bring up, because there was the father and then another man, and the relationship between little one and the girl at school, and there's so much there, you guys. This is just such a great story, so I highly recommend. Okay, if you made it this far, thank you so much. Sorry about my rambling. I always ramble when I do reviews because my brain is just like like going a million miles a second, whatever. Yeah, I really loved this book. Like, the more I think about it, I love this book so much. And if you did enjoy this review, give this video a thumbs up. It really helps out the channel. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And I don't know, maybe cannibalism books are not for you, but maybe this sounds like something you could give a try. I don't know. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to check out my book club, it is linked down below, and we're reading The Great Gatsby if you want to read along. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.